On December 20th, the day after the fight, what do the headlines say about this fight and about you?
I don't know.
That's for you guys to write.
I don't know.
Anthony Joshua has finally broken his silence on the explosive fight-fixing accusations surrounding his knockout victory over Jake Paul. And what he revealed during a recent interview has sent shockwaves through the entire boxing community about what really happened behind the scenes in Miami. The former two-time heavyweight champion didn't hold back when addressing the controversy that's been brewing since December 19th, opening up about suspicious circumstances and questionable tactics he witnessed from Paul's promotional team during fight week.
Whether or not the fight is fixed, whether or not it's fake, whether or not it's, this behind the wall deals being done and all those things. I think that as a boxer, you can see when a fighter pulls punches. You can see when a fighter...
Multiple sources close to Joshua's camp claim he's been frustrated with how the fight has been portrayed, with many people suggesting he deliberately carried Paul longer than necessary to make the spectacle more entertaining for Netflix viewers. According to insiders who've spoken with Joshua since the fight, the British heavyweight is tired of staying quiet while accusations fly in every direction, and he's decided it's time to set the record straight about exactly what went down. AJ feels like his reputation is being questioned, and he's not going to sit back and let people think he was involved in anything shady, one person close to the Joshua camp told boxing media outlets this week.
Taking this.
So you've got ability and you have marketability in boxing. Now, unfortunately, how it goes is you could have the two best fighters with the best ability, but they don't have marketability. So they won't be able to showcase their talent to the world because broadcasters won't be interested and fans aren't that interested. So what we need to do is bring the marketability aspect into
The timing of Joshua speaking out is particularly interesting given that Jake Paul's promotional company Most Valuable Promotions has been threatening lawsuits against anyone who questions the legitimacy of their fights. However, what Joshua has now revealed about the contract negotiations, fight week behavior, and the unusual circumstances surrounding the event has only added more fuel to the fire burning through boxing media. But before getting into what Joshua actually said and why it matters, the context of what happened on fight night needs to be fully understood by everyone trying to make sense of this developing situation. The fight itself took place on December 19, 2025, at the Kaseya Center in Miami, with Anthony Joshua knocking out Jake Paul in the 6th round using a devastating right hand that broke Paul's jaw in 2 places. Joshua entered the bout as a massive negative 1,200 betting favorite, which meant people had to risk $1,200 just to win $100 on a Joshua victory due to how one-sided experts viewed the matchup. And respected trainers all predicted Joshua would finish Paul within the first 2 rounds maximum, using his massive size advantage and elite-level knockout power to end things quickly. However, the fight lasted nearly 6 complete rounds, with Paul employing constant movement, excessive clinching, and repeatedly falling to the canvas whenever Joshua closed the distance. This unexpected duration immediately raised red flags among hardcore boxing fans who pointed out that Joshua had knocked out Francis Ngannou in just 2 rounds, despite Ngannou being much bigger and more dangerous than Paul. The questions intensified when footage showed moments where Joshua appeared to hold back despite having Paul visibly hurt and trapped against the ropes with nowhere to go. Lou DiBella, a legendary boxing promoter with decades of credibility, was one of the first prominent figures to publicly state he believed something wasn't right about how the fight played out.
I saw a post that in 2017, on the night he defeated Vladimir Klitschko, Jake Paul was at some type of Disney Star Awards. Just your take on how this entire deal came together.
Crazy. I mean, we were presented with an offer to fight Jake Paul, and we took it with both hands. I mean, we'd be crazy not to.
DiBella posted on social media that Joshua appeared to be pulling punches and not fighting with the killer instinct he's shown throughout his career against legitimate heavyweight opposition. I saw him put Anthony Joshua was pulling his punches. He wasn't giving it his full effort. Something was off about that whole fight. DiBella stated in posts that quickly went viral across boxing social media. Jake Paul's business partner, Nakisa Badarian, responded aggressively to these accusations, appearing on the Ariel Helwani show on December 22nd to announce that their legal team was actively pursuing action against critics.
You know, AJ was going to fight this week here. We didn't sign a contract, but we made an offer to Cassius Chaney. We were going to fight an 8-round fight here. We were going to rock up on fight night, just wrap the hands, and no one was going to know about it. And you wouldn't have seen him all week. We would have just turned up fight night.
Our lawyers are actively going after a number of people, Badarian stated during that interview, specifically calling out DiBella by name and threatening legal consequences for anyone questioning the fight's legitimacy. However, Badarian's aggressive legal threats only seem to intensify speculation rather than shut it down, with many people wondering why Paul's team was so defensive if nothing improper happened. That's when sources close to Anthony Joshua began leaking information about what really happened during Fight Week and why the British champion is now considering speaking out publicly himself.
That was not a boxing match. Jake Paul had a very healthy fear for his life while he was in there. He was running away. He was trying to get distance. Then he was trying to step in to win this contest. And then he's trying to get out of the way so that he doesn't get hurt again. He was fighting. He's got to go forward. So now he's clinched him. Now he's dropping down to his knees. He's going below the waist. He's getting a double leg position.
Not long ago, rumors started circulating within boxing circles that Joshua's team had been approached with unusual requests about how the fight should be structured and how long it should last. Multiple people connected to Joshua's training camp told Boxing Insiders that representatives associated with Paul's promotional company had made suggestions about creating an entertaining fight rather than a quick knockout. These conversations allegedly took place at the Fighter Hotel in Miami during the final days before the December 19th event, with the discussions framed as being beneficial for both fighters' careers.
And now we're doing an 8-rounder a few weeks later for a 40th or 40 times the money we were going to get to fight tonight against Jake Paul. You can't make it up. I think it's crazy. I think Jake Paul, respect to him, but it's a terrible decision from...
According to sources who claim direct knowledge of these interactions, the initial approach was subtle, focusing on ideas about maximizing the entertainment value and setting up potential future business opportunities. However, Joshua's team claims the conversations became increasingly specific about exactly how long the fight should last and what rounds Joshua should show restraint versus when he could turn up the aggression. They wanted AJ to make it look competitive for at least 4 or 5 rounds, one source within Joshua's camp told boxing media on condition of anonymity. They kept saying it would be better for everyone if Jake looked like he belonged at that level.
If Jake was fighting for his survival, you could see that this animal who's been caged and is just trying to make it through. It was incredible. And any boxer that wants to say, well, that wasn't high-level boxing, go ahead. I won't argue with you. But any human that says that wasn't a fight, yeah, it was a fight.
Joshua himself has not directly confirmed these specific allegations in any official interview, but people close to him say he's tired of the accusations flying around and wants to address the situation head-on. The former champion has been frustrated that his dominant performance is being overshadowed by conspiracy theories and questions about the fight's authenticity, according to multiple sources. Boxing fans on social media have been divided in their reactions to the controversy, with some believing Joshua fought legitimately, while others remain convinced something improper occurred.
I'm just so proud of him. My mom has it.
Your brother fought his ass off, man. I mean, other heavyweights have taken that right hand and only took one.
I'm just so proud of him. That was incredible. In my view, that was a victory on all fronts.
Right.
Minus the actual victory, of course, but bro, no one expected him to.
One fan posted on X, formerly Twitter, if AJ really carried Jake, why would he break his jaw in 2 places? That's not what you do when you're trying to protect someone. Another skeptical viewer wrote, why did it take 6 rounds to finish a guy who's never fought a real heavyweight? Joshua could have ended that in round 1 if he wanted to. A third commentator added, Jake Paul's team has been accused of fixing fights for years. Where there's smoke, there's usually fire. Something's not right here.
The last 6 rounds with AJ, in my opinion, he won 4 of them. People will argue that. He at least won 3. No one expected him to last that long. Rolled his ankle, broke his jaw. Fighting, man, that's toughness. Most people wouldn't have the balls ever to step in a boxing ring to bring in their life. He stepped in a boxing ring with one of the baddest men on the planet, who's 40 pounds heavier than him and 6 inches taller.
The situation became even more complicated when Joe Rogan weighed in on the controversy during a recent episode of the Joe Rogan Experience podcast. Rogan, who's been one of the most vocal critics of celebrity boxing and its impact on combat sports, delivered a passionate commentary about Jake Paul's career and the damage he believes it's doing to boxing's reputation.
Waiting for that knockout.
Absolutely. And where is the Tyson Fury Joshua fighting happening now?
Yeah, it should happen. I think it should happen.
Who wins it? Who wins it? Lennox, who wins it?
Oh, don't ask me too soon. It's too soon for that, man.
Excuse me, Lennox. I'm sorry.
I miss you, Lennox.
Hey, what's going on, buddy?
Man? Good to see you.
Yeah, man.
Just let me know your thoughts on Jake going 6 rounds with AJ.
You know, the fact that
there's a price that you pay that is not worth it, Rogan stated during his podcast when discussing Paul's broken jaw and the risks of continuing in boxing. And that price is depression, deep depression, a severe brain imbalance that's going to lead you to addiction. The longtime UFC commentator went on to explain his belief that the knockout punch Paul received from Joshua was equivalent to multiple concussions delivered in a single blow. That one that he got from Joshua. Say if you have a punch card, you have so many punches that you can get in your life, which I believe you do. I believe it's a certain number. That one was like 10 punches, Rogan explained to his massive podcast audience.
For someone who's been boxing for like less than a decade, he has had no real professional opponents other than Tommy Fury that were legitimate world-class boxers.
I don't even remember what happened in the Tommy.
He lost a close decision, but it was a good fight. It was a good fight, though. He's a good boxer. If he wasn't a YouTuber, people would be way more impressed with him.
Yeah.
The problem is he was like a famous...
However, Rogan also addressed the broader controversy surrounding Paul's fights and whether they should even be sanctioned given the massive skill disparities involved. You take a guy who just had a boxing match that looked like a sparring match with a 58-year-old Mike Tyson, and then you're going to fight one of the absolute scariest knockout artists in the heavyweight division, Rogan said, questioning the entire premise of the matchup. The podcast host's comments resonated with millions of boxing fans who share his concerns about the direction celebrity boxing is taking the sport and whether proper oversight exists. Rogan's criticism carries significant weight given his decades of experience commentating combat sports and his reputation for calling out questionable situations regardless of who's involved. The timing of Rogan's commentary, coming just days after the fight and amid swirling accusations, added more ammunition to people who believe something inappropriate happened in Miami.
This kid, and then no one took him seriously.
Yeah.
But...
Oh, and then he started, too, with, like, more spectacle-ish fights. People were like, oh, this is... You fought, Nate Robinson, like a basketball player.
But the thing is, he knocked Nate Robinson dead. And it's the way he did it that I was trying to tell people. I'm like, no. That was skillful. So, like, there's like, boxing matches where you see two guys just slugging it out and one guy lands a punch.
Boxing legend Roy Jones Jr. also weighed in on the situation, telling interviewers that if Joshua's team was approached with improper suggestions, it represents a serious problem for the sport's integrity. Boxing can't survive if people think everything is scripted like WWE, Jones reportedly said during a recent media appearance. We need investigations and transparency when these kinds of accusations come up. Former heavyweight champion Evander Holyfield expressed similar concerns, noting that younger fans might lose interest in boxing if they believe major fights are predetermined or manipulated for entertainment purposes. Regarding the specific accusations against Paul's promotional company, the situation has become increasingly contentious with legal threats flying in multiple directions.
For having me, and thanks for being involved in the event through Netflix. I think you did a great job as usual. I don't think it was a moral victory because he expected to win. I do think he showed who he is as a fighter. I think he deployed the strategy that he was very clear about going into, that he was going to look to make AJ miss, and AJ missed.
Most Valuable Promotions released a statement categorically denying any wrongdoing and calling the accusations baseless and irresponsible attacks on our reputation. However, the statement did not address specific details about contract negotiations or explain what conversations took place between the promotional teams during Fight Week. Nakisa Bidarian, Paul's business partner and MVP co-founder, has been particularly aggressive in threatening legal action against critics who question the fight's authenticity. There's never once in Jake Paul's career been any talk of anything to do with the fight being anything but a real fight, Bidarian stated during his appearance on the Ariel Helwani show. He specifically pushed back against suggestions that Joshua was instructed to carry Paul, pointing out that Joshua had publicly stated before the fight that finishing Paul in round 1 was his goal. Anthony Joshua was on record saying that if he didn't finish him in the first round, that would be disappointing. That would be a failure, Bidarian explained, noting that the narrative changed as fight night approached. However, critics have pointed out that what fighters say publicly before fights often differs from what's discussed privately in contract negotiations and promotional meetings. The Florida Athletic Commission, which sanctioned the Paul Joshua fight, has not issued any statement about whether they plan to investigate the accusations or review any of the circumstances.
For having me, and thanks for being involved in the event through Netflix. I think you did a great job as usual. I don't think it was a moral victory because he expected to win. I do think he showed who he is as a fighter. I think he deployed the strategy that he was very clear about going into, that he was going to look to make AJ miss, and AJ missed.
Legal experts following the case note that attempting to predetermine the outcome of a sanctioned sporting event constitutes a federal crime in the United States, carrying serious penalties. The FBI has jurisdiction over sports bribery cases, though no federal investigation has been publicly announced related to the Paul Joshua fight as of yet. Boxing commissions in Nevada, California, New York, and other major boxing states have also remained silent on whether they would consider sanctioning future Jake Paul fights given the ongoing controversies. Industry insiders suggest that several potential opponents have expressed hesitancy about fighting Paul, given the cloud of suspicion now surrounding how his promotional company structures these crossover events. Francis Ngannou, who was briefly discussed as a potential next opponent, has since distanced himself from those talks according to sources close to the former UFC heavyweight champion.
Like, we think about you to fight Jake. I'm like, what? Say, we think about you to fight Jake to replace Javante. I'm like, who's Jake? I was so confused, I wasn't expecting that at all. And he said, yeah, Jake Paul, he's fighting. And I'm like, no, bro, come on, don't.
The financial aspects of the controversy have also come under scrutiny, with questions being raised about how Paul funds these massive events and whether the economics actually work. Bob Arum, one of boxing's most successful promoters, recently stated in an interview that the economics of celebrity boxing don't work the way most people assume they do. These fights cost a fortune to produce, Arum explained during a media appearance. By the time you pay everyone and cover all the expenses, there's often not much profit left at all. Financial analysts who've examined Most Valuable Promotions' business model note that the company has taken significant outside investment, suggesting they may operate at a loss while building long-term brand value. This raises questions about whether Paul's team faces pressure to deliver entertaining fights that justify Netflix's investment and satisfy streaming viewership metrics regardless of competitive legitimacy. The Paul Tyson fight reportedly generated over 108 million views globally, but faced widespread criticism for appearing to be more of an exhibition than a legitimate competitive bout. Critics pointed out that Tyson, known throughout his career for seeking early knockouts, fought completely out of character against Paul by being passive and defensive.
A number of times. And ultimately, I think the weight of AJ caught up to Jake Paul. If you look at the first 3 rounds, AJ wasn't really able to touch him. But when AJ was in a clinch with him a couple of times, pushed down on the back of his neck, pushed down on the back of his head.
Those same critics now point to the Joshua fight as another example of crossover boxing prioritizing entertainment value over competitive integrity and authentic sporting competition. Eddie Hearn, who promotes Anthony Joshua through Matchroom Boxing, has not yet publicly commented on the controversy or whether his company will take any position regarding the accusations. The British Boxing Board of Control has stated they would never sanction a Jake Paul fight in the United Kingdom, though they have no jurisdiction over events in America. Steven Espinoza, who previously worked with Showtime Boxing before the network exited the sport, commented that celebrity boxing exists in a regulatory gray area with insufficient oversight. Traditional boxing has problems with corruption, but at least there are established rules and consequences, Espinoza noted during a recent podcast appearance discussing the Paul Joshua controversy. The situation has sparked broader conversations about whether combat sports need new regulatory frameworks specifically designed for crossover fights and celebrity boxing events.
I mean, don't disrespect me like that. And then they even say like, they even come out after and say, and what if the number are good? He sent out some number. I'm like, it's not about the number. If it was about the number, we could have started talk. I would have tell you, I'm not just interested. It makes no sense for me. It's not my what I'm looking.
Some analysts have suggested creating a separate category or designation for these types of matchups, so fans understand they're watching entertainment rather than traditional sport. However, others argue that any sanctioned fight should be held to the same competitive standards, regardless of the fighters' backgrounds or promotional strategies involved. The fallout from this controversy continues to develop, with new information emerging almost daily about what really happened behind the scenes in Miami. Multiple boxing journalists have reported receiving tips from people claiming to have direct knowledge of improper conduct, though none have been willing to go on record publicly. This reluctance to speak openly has only fueled more speculation about what people within the industry know but are afraid to say for fear of legal retaliation. Jake Paul himself has remained largely silent on social media since the accusations intensified, breaking his usual pattern of immediately responding to any criticism or controversy. This uncharacteristic silence has led to even more questions about whether Paul is consulting with lawyers before making any public statements or simply hoping the controversy fades naturally.
The takedown, again, that was Jake trying to engage in the clinch, and AJ smartly moved back. In one instance, I think it was the 5th round, Jake engaged for a clinch, AJ moved back and started punching down on Jake's back. So all of those things kind of deteriorated or emptied Jake's gas tank a lot earlier than I think he expected it to.
Legal experts note that anything Paul says publicly about the accusations could potentially be used against him if investigations move forward or defamation lawsuits are filed. Anthony Joshua, meanwhile, has been focusing on his recovery and training while reportedly considering whether to address the situation more directly in upcoming interviews. Sources close to Joshua say he wants to clear his name and reputation, but also doesn't want to get dragged into a legal battle with Paul's well-funded promotional company. The situation remains fluid, with boxing fans eagerly awaiting more information about what really happened and whether any official investigations will uncover the truth behind these explosive accusations. Hopefully, proper oversight and transparency will eventually reveal what went on behind closed doors and whether boxing needs stronger protections to maintain competitive integrity. And that's all for now. For the very best updates on news, moments, events, and actions in the world of boxing, stay by subscribing to our YouTube channel, and don't forget to turn on notifications to get notified when we drop quality contents like this. Until next time, peace out.